Dr. Nadia Petrov wiped sweat from her brow as she carefully brushed away centuries of dust from what appeared to be an ordinary piece of metal. The scorching twin suns of Kepler, 186f beat down mercilessly on her environmental suit, its cooling system struggling to keep up with the brutal heat. She had spent the last 3 months at this dig site, searching for evidence of the mysterious civilization that had once inhabited this now desolate world. The object beneath her brush gradually revealed itself, a smooth, iridescent surface that seemed to shift colors as the sunlight played across it. Unlike anything she'd seen in 15 years of xenoarchaeology, this piece didn't match the crude tools and artifacts they'd previously uncovered at the site. It was far too advanced, too perfect in its construction. "Base, this is Petrov," she called into her comm. "I've found something unusual in Sector 7. Requesting additional equipment for extraction." Static crackled through her helmet speakers. Strange, the communication system had been working perfectly all morning. She tried again, adjusting the frequency, but received only silence in return. The artifact began to hum. It started as a barely perceptible vibration against her gloved fingers, but quickly grew in intensity. The color-shifting surface now pulsed with an inner light, patterns of geometric shapes appearing and disappearing across its surface like digital code written in light. Nadia's training told her to back away, to follow proper containment protocols for unknown alien technology. But something about the patterns held her transfixed. They seemed familiar somehow, as if they were speaking to her in a language she'd forgotten she knew. The humming reached a crescendo, and suddenly the air around her crackled with energy. Her suit's sensors went haywire, readings spiking across the board. The artifact lifted from the ground, hovering at eye level, its surface now a whirlwind of light and color. A beam of energy shot from the object, scanning her from head to toe. Her suit's systems flickered and died, leaving her in darkness for a terrifying moment before everything came back online. But something was different. New information scrolled across her heads-up display in an alien script that somehow, impossibly, she could read. "Genetic profile accepted," a voice whispered in her mind. "Authorization granted. Initiative protocol activated." The ground beneath her feet began to tremor. In the distance, she heard the unmistakable sound of ancient machinery awakening. What had she done? What had she activated? Her comm system suddenly burst to life with panicked voices from the base camp. "Dr. Petrov. We're picking up massive energy signatures across the entire dig site. What's happening out there?" Before she could respond, her suit's proximity sensors screamed a warning. Multiple objects were approaching at high speed from orbit. She looked up to see streaks of light cutting through the alien sky, ships of unknown design, heading straight for her position. The artifact pulsed once more and disappeared in a flash of light, but Nadia could still feel its presence, like a weight in her mind. She knew, somehow, that it had merged with her suit's systems, integrated itself with her equipment. And it was trying to tell her something. "Warning," the voice in her mind spoke again. "Sentinel forces approaching. Protocol requires immediate evacuation. Asset must be protected." The alien ships were getting closer, their design unlike anything in human or known alien records. Nadia made a split-second decision. She activated her suit's emergency beacon and ran for her research vehicle, parked 100 meters away. Whatever she'd discovered, whatever she'd activated, she couldn't let it fall into unknown hands. As she sprinted across the ruins, more ancient machinery burst from the ground around her. Massive structures, dormant for millennia, rose into the sky, their purposes unknown but their power obvious. The entire planet seemed to be awakening. She reached her vehicle just as the first alien ship entered the atmosphere. Its hull gleamed with the same iridescent material as the artifact, but there was nothing beautiful about it now. Weapon ports opened along its sides as it descended. The voice in her mind spoke once more, "Asset security compromised. Initiating emergency protocols. Prepare for neural interface expansion." Pain exploded behind her eyes as knowledge began flooding into her consciousness, star maps, coordinates, warnings, and secrets that had waited eons to be discovered. She saw flashes of an ancient war, of a civilization that had created wonders and horrors in equal measure. And she understood why they had hidden it all away, waiting for the right moment, the right person. She gunned the vehicle's engine, racing away from the dig site as energy weapons began to rain down from above. The alien ships weren't trying to kill her, they were trying to contain her. To capture her. And somehow, she knew that could not be allowed to happen. The artifact's knowledge told her what she needed to do next. There was a facility hidden in the mountains, a place where she could find answers, and weapons. But first, she had to survive the next few minutes. As she drove, dodging weapons fire and navigating through the chaos of a planet literally rebuilding itself around her, Nadia realized that her life's work had led to this moment. She had wanted to discover the truth about this ancient civilization. Now she was going to learn far more than she had ever imagined, if she lived long enough to understand it all. Behind her, the dig site vanished in a massive explosion as more ships appeared in the sky. Ahead lay uncertainty and danger, but also answers to questions humanity had been asking since it first looked to the stars. She pressed the accelerator harder, her mind racing as fast as her vehicle. The greatest archaeological discovery in human history had just become a race for survival, and Nadia Petrov was now the most wanted person on a planet that was rapidly becoming a battleground. The mountain facility's doors recognized her changed biological signature, parting silently as Nadia stumbled inside. Her head throbbed with the continuous stream of information the artifact was feeding into her consciousness. Star charts, weapon schematics, and fragments of an alien language she somehow now understood perfectly. It was almost too much to process. The pursuing ships had broken off their chase when she entered the mountain range, as if something about this area kept them at bay. The facility's interior hummed to life around her, responding to her presence just as the artifact had. Holographic displays flickered into existence, showing real-time data about the ships now circling the region like hungry predators. Security protocols active, the voice in her mind announced. Beginning integration sequence. The wall before her transformed, revealing a chamber that looked more like a medical bay than anything that belonged in an archaeological site. As she stepped inside, mechanical arms descended from the ceiling, carrying equipment she'd never seen before but somehow knew how to use. "What are you doing to me?" she whispered, though she already knew the answer. The artifact wasn't just a piece of technology, it was a key, and she had become its carrier. The mechanical arms moved with precision, attaching various devices to her environmental suit. Each connection sent new waves of information flooding through her mind. She saw glimpses of a war that had raged across galaxies, of a civilization that had achieved technological miracles before vanishing into myth. Integration at 60%, the voice informed her. Warning: hostile forces have deployed ground units. Through the facility's sensors, she watched as sleek, biomechanical creatures emerged from the landed ships. Their movements were fluid, almost beautiful, but their purpose was clear: they were hunters, and she was their prey. The integration process completed just as the facility's outer defenses engaged. Ancient weapon systems, dormant for millennia, sprang to life. The hunters scattered as energy beams cut through the air, but they weren't retreating, they were adapting, learning, evolving their approach. Nadia felt the facility's systems through her enhanced suit, understood its capabilities as if she'd designed them herself. The artifact had transformed her environmental suit into something far more advanced, a hybrid of human and ancient alien technology. They're the Sentinels, she realized, the knowledge surfacing from the flood of information in her mind. They were created to protect the galaxy from dangerous technologies, but they became obsessed with control. That's why the ancients went into hiding. They weren't destroyed, they were waiting. A massive explosion rocked the facility. The Sentinels had breached the outer defenses faster than expected. She needed to move, to reach the facility's core before they found her. The artifact's memories showed her the way, guiding her through hidden passages as the sounds of battle grew closer. The core chamber was a vast sphere of swirling energy, protected by fields even the artifact's enhanced systems couldn't fully analyze. As she approached, the energy patterns shifted, responding to her presence. Evacuation protocols initiated, the voice announced. Preparing for temporal shift. Temporal shift. The implications hit her just as the chamber doors exploded inward. 3 sentinel hunters entered, their forms shifting and changing as they assessed the threat she posed. They were beautiful and terrifying, their bodies a perfect fusion of organic and mechanical components. Asset located, they spoke in unison, their voices a harmonic chorus that seemed to vibrate through her bones. Surrender the key. Nadia raised her hand, feeling the power flowing through her enhanced suit. I don't think so, she replied, surprised by the confidence in her voice. I'm starting to understand what this is all about. You're not protecting the galaxy, you're controlling it. Limiting its growth. That's why they chose to hide their legacy until humanity was ready. The Sentinels moved forward in perfect synchronization. The legacy is not yours to claim. The cycle must be maintained. The artifact's power surged through her suit, responding to her thoughts. Energy crackled around her as the core chamber's activity intensified. The Sentinels launched themselves forward, but they were too late. Now, she commanded, and reality itself seemed to bend around her. The temporal shift began, and Nadia Petrov, along with the secrets of an ancient civilization, vanished from the present in a flash of blinding light. The last thing she saw was the Sentinels' perfect forms dissolving into chaos as the facility's self-destruct sequence activated. She had escaped with the artifact and its knowledge, but she knew this was just the beginning. Somewhere in time and space, answers awaited, along with even greater dangers. The artifact had chosen her for a reason, and now she had to prove it had chosen wisely. The fate of 2 civilizations, one ancient and one still growing, rested in her hands. The temporal shift deposited Nadia in deep space, her enhanced suit automatically adjusting to protect her. The artifact had transported her to coordinates that held significance, a massive space station, ancient but still operational, floating in the void between stars. Emergency protocols complete. Temporal displacement successful, the voice confirmed. Location, Nexus Point 7. The station's architecture was familiar now, matching the designs flooding her mind. This was a waypoint, one of many the ancients had established across the galaxy. As her suit propelled her toward an airlock, she detected other ships arriving. The Sentinels had tracked her temporal jump. Inside the station, dormant systems awakened at her presence. Holographic interfaces sprang to life, showing her the station's status and the approaching threat. The Sentinels weren't just following her, they were converging from multiple points in time and space. They're trying to box me in, she realized. But they can't risk destroying this place. The artifact's knowledge revealed why. The station contained something the Sentinels feared more than any weapon. Truth. Historical records that proved their original purpose had been corrupted, showing how they had transformed from guardians into controllers. Racing through the station's corridors, Nadia accessed the central database. The artifact interfaced with ancient systems, downloading crucial information even as the first Sentinel forces breached the outer defenses. Primary directive recovered, the voice announced. The network must be reactivated. Images flashed through her mind, a vast network of stations and outposts, all connected, all waiting to be awakened. The ancients hadn't just hidden their technology, they had hidden their entire civilization, scattered across time and space, waiting for the right moment to return. The station shuddered as Sentinel ships opened fire. They were being careful, using precision weapons to minimize damage, but their intent was clear. They would capture her, take the artifact, and ensure humanity remained confined to its current level of development. Not happening, Nadia muttered, accessing the station's defense systems. Ancient weapons powered up, targeting the Sentinel ships. But these weren't just weapons, they were tools of creation as much as destruction. Energy beams lanced out, not destroying the Sentinel ships but transforming them, rewriting their very structure. The hunters screamed in harmonic chorus as their ships began to change, organic and mechanical components shifting into new configurations. The artifact's voice grew stronger, purification protocols engaged. The corruption can be reversed. Nadia understood now. The ancients hadn't built the Sentinels to control or limit, they had created them to guide and protect. Something had corrupted their original programming, turning them from mentors into wardens. More Sentinel ships arrived, these ones different, older models, their forms more elegant, less corrupted. They engaged their transformed brethren, buying her time. The artifact had awakened something in them, a memory of their true purpose. But it wasn't enough. For every Sentinel that remembered, 2 more arrived still bound by their corrupted directives. The station's defenses were failing, and the download was only halfway complete. Alternative exit point required, the voice advised. Calculating temporal coordinates. Through the station's sensors, Nadia watched the battle raging outside. It wasn't just about her anymore, it was about choice, about allowing civilizations to grow and learn from their mistakes rather than being confined to a predetermined path. The download completed just as the station's primary shields failed. Sentinel hunters poured in through the breaches, but Nadia was ready. The artifact's power surged through her suit, creating a barrier of pure energy. "You don't have to do this," she told them, her voice carrying the weight of ancient knowledge. "You were meant to guide us, not control us. The corruption can be undone." Some of the hunters hesitated, their perfect forms wavering as ancient memories stirred. Others pressed forward, weapons ready. The division in their ranks was spreading, but Nadia couldn't stay to see the outcome. "Temporal jump initiated," the voice announced. Next coordinates locked. Reality bent around her once again, but this time she caught a glimpse of something in the space between moments, a vast network of light, connecting countless points across time and space. The network was still there, waiting to be reactivated. As she vanished, Nadia saw more ships arriving, these ones ancient, powerful, and untouched by corruption. The awakening had begun, and the Sentinels would soon face a choice: remember their true purpose or fight against their own creators. The chase would continue, but now she had allies, and more importantly, she had truth on her side. The temporal jump landed Nadia inside an abandoned research facility on Europa, Jupiter's ice-covered moon. Her enhanced suit immediately adapted to the extreme cold, but warnings flashed across her vision: the Sentinels weren't far behind, and this time they'd brought something new. "Warning, Class X temporal anomaly detected," the artifact's voice announced. "They're trying to collapse all possible timelines into one." Through the facility's ancient sensors, she watched as reality itself began to warp around the approaching Sentinel ships. They'd grown desperate enough to risk temporal warfare, a technology so dangerous even the ancients had feared to use it. The facility's systems revealed its purpose: this was where the ancients had developed their final failsafe, a way to reset everything if the Sentinels ever went too far. But using it would mean erasing countless civilizations, including humanity. There had to be another way. Full integration now possible, the artifact informed her. Accept? Nadia hesitated. Full integration meant becoming one with the ancient technology completely, no going back to her old life. But as reality continued to fracture around her, she realized there was no choice. "Do it," she commanded. Pain exploded through every cell of her body as the integration began. Her suit merged with her flesh, the artifact's knowledge became her own, and she understood everything: the ancients' plan, the Sentinels' corruption, and most importantly, how to fix it. The Sentinels breached the facility just as the transformation completed. Their leader stepped forward, its form shifting between countless possible versions of itself. "The cycle ends here," it declared. "Submit to convergence." Nadia rose into the air, power crackling around her transformed body. "No," she replied, her voice resonating with ancient authority. "It's time for a new cycle to begin." The battle that followed transcended normal space and time. The Sentinels wielded weapons that could erase entire timelines, but Nadia had become something they'd never encountered, a bridge between past and future, human and ancient, organic and machine. Reality buckled and warped around them as they fought. Through the chaos, Nadia began broadcasting the truth, not just to these Sentinels, but to all of them throughout time and space. The corruption in their programming started to unravel as original memories surfaced. "You were created to nurture, not control," she told them, deflecting another temporal attack. "Look at what you've become. Look at what you're willing to destroy." More Sentinels arrived, but they were divided now. Some joined her side, their forms shifting back to their original, uncorrupted designs. Others fought harder, refusing to accept the truth. The leader launched a final, desperate attack, a temporal cascade that would collapse all of reality into a single, controlled timeline. But Nadia was ready. The facility's systems, the artifact's power, and her own transformed being combined into something new. She caught the temporal energy and reformed it, using it to reach every Sentinel simultaneously across all of time and space. In that moment, they all saw the truth, and had to choose. The leader's perfect form began to crack, corruption bleeding away as ancient memories returned. What have we become?" it asked, its harmonic voice filled with horror and grief. "What you became doesn't matter," Nadia replied, extending her hand. "What matters is what you choose to be now." Around them, reality began to stabilize as more and more Sentinels rejected their corruption. The temporal anomalies faded, and the facility's sensors showed similar scenes playing out across the galaxy as the network reactivated. The leader looked at her hand, its form shifting one final time, not into something perfect and controlled, but into something beautiful and free. "We choose to remember," it said, taking her hand. "We choose to return to our purpose." The breaking point had passed. The cycle of control was ending. But Nadia knew their work was just beginning. The aftermath of the temporal battle transformed Europa's research facility into something unprecedented, a convergence point where ancient and modern technologies merged seamlessly. Nadia, forever changed by her integration with the artifact, stood among reformed Sentinels as they began their new mission. Network restoration at 87%, her internal systems reported. Ancient outposts reactivating across all known space. The leader of the reformed Sentinels, now calling itself Genesis, approached her. Its form flowed like liquid light, no longer bound by rigid perfection. "The corrupted ones are few now, but they will resist change until the end. What would you have us do?" Nadia accessed the facility's quantum computers, reviewing data from across the galaxy. Humanity had noticed the changes. Their telescopes and sensors were recording the reactivation of ancient stations, the appearance of mysterious structures, and the battles between reformed and corrupted Sentinels. "We guide, but we don't control," she decided. Humanity needs to understand what's happening, but they must choose their own path forward. Working together, they initiated the final phase of the Ancients' plan. The facility beneath Europa's ice became a beacon, broadcasting a message to every human settlement and outpost, not orders or demands, but an invitation. The message carried the truth about humanity's place in the galaxy, about the civilizations that had come before, and about the choice that lay ahead. The corrupted Sentinels had hidden this knowledge, fearing what humanity might become. Now it was time for humans to decide their own fate. Nadia watched through the facility's sensors as the first human ships approached Europa. Among them, she recognized the logo of her old archaeological institute. Coming full circle, she prepared to greet her former colleagues not as a returned exile, but as a bridge between worlds. "They're scared," Genesis observed, monitoring the approaching ship's communications. "But there's excitement too. Hope." "As there should be," Nadia replied. Her transformed body resonated with the facility's systems, preparing to share the ancient knowledge in ways humans could understand. "This isn't an ending, it's an opportunity to learn from those who came before, to avoid their mistakes and build something new. The network hummed with activity as more ancient sites awakened. Reformed sentinels worked to restore what their corrupted selves had hidden, while simultaneously defending against the last desperate attacks of those who clung to the old ways. As the human ships landed, Nadia felt a profound sense of completion. The artifact that had changed her life wasn't just a key or a weapon, it was a promise. A promise that civilization could advance without losing its soul, that progress didn't have to mean control, and that the greatest discoveries often came from having the courage to question everything you thought you knew. Ready? Genesis asked as the airlock cycled. Nadia smiled, her form shifting slightly to appear more human while maintaining her new abilities. Ready. Let's show them what the future can be. The doors open to a new dawn, not just for humanity, but for all civilizations ready to take their next step among the stars. The age of isolation was over. The age of discovery was about to begin.